It was a Tuesday, like any other sunlight slicing through oak trees, lawnmowers humming in the distance, and the kind of stillness that made you forget the world could be cruel. Officer Jake Harris had patrolled Brookville's sleepy neighborhoods for nearly a decade, and he liked it that way, quiet, predictable, safe. But all of that shattered the moment he heard a child scream. "My mom's in there," the voice, high-pitched, raw, desperate, cut through the air like shattered glass. Jake slammed the brakes, barely throwing the cruiser in park before bolting toward the sound. And there she was, a little girl no older than 6, crouched on the sidewalk, shoulders trembling, clutching a tiny red shoe like it was the last piece of her world. Dirt streaked her yellow sundress, her tangled hair stuck to tear-stained cheeks, and her eyes, God, those eyes, wide, lost, terrified. He knelt down slowly. "Hey, sweetheart, what's your name?" She barely whispered, "Emily. Emily Brooks." "Emily," he said softly, "where's your mom?" She pointed down the street toward a patch of trees near West Hollow Creek, her hand shaking. "He said she's gone. He said she's never coming back. And it's all my fault." Jake felt his stomach drop. He'd handled missing persons before, runaways, custody disputes. But this felt different, deeper, like they weren't just lost, like they were hiding. "Can you show me where you last saw her?" he asked. Emily nodded, clutching that little red shoe to her chest like a lifeline. They walked together, Jake's heart pounding harder with every step. And when they reached the edge of the park, Emily froze. "Right here," she whispered. She was right here. But there was no one. No sign of struggle. No clues. Jake scanned the area, then glanced back just as an old woman crossed the street toward them. Mrs. Darlene Whitmore lived in the neighborhood for over 40 years. She held a blanket in one hand and a steaming mug of cocoa in the other. "I heard the sirens," she said softly. "That's your girl. She's not mine," Jake replied. "But I'm gonna find her mother." Darlene draped the blanket around Emily's small shoulders. "Poor child's been out here all alone. Her mama, Rachel, right, sweet woman, worked down at the florist, but she always looked spooked, like she was running from something." And Jake's gut twisted again. "Has anyone strange been around lately? Asking about them?" Darlene nodded slowly. Tall man, pale, wore a baseball cap low over his eyes, was asking which house was theirs. "Gave me the creeps." Other neighbors began to gather. One brought cookies, another offered to search the park. The community, quiet as it usually was, had just woken up. Emily tugged on Jake's sleeve. "She told me if something happened, I should take a grown-up to where we planted our special flower." Jake didn't hesitate. The community garden behind the library was a peaceful patch of earth framed by marigolds and daisies. Emily marched straight to a corner plot and pointed. There. Jake knelt and began digging. Not deep, just a foot down until his fingers brushed metal. A small tin box wrapped in plastic. Inside was a letter on lavender paper, a few photos, and a bank book. Emily held her breath as Jake unfolded the note and read aloud. "If you're reading this, it means I had to leave to make sure Emily would be safe. I will come back. But if I don't, please tell her I did this out of love. Our spot under the stars, she'll know where to." Jake looked up. "What does that mean, Emily?" "Your spot under the stars," she smiled for the first time. "The big hill behind the old mill. We used to watch the sky there." Jake called in every resource he had: social services, detectives, even a local pastor to support the neighborhood. The town, usually slow and sleepy, came alive with a purpose. Flyers went up, search groups formed, but then came the real break. Emily sang a song, soft, almost like a lullaby. "When the moon is high and the flowers grow tall, that's where Mama waits safe from it all." Jake realized it wasn't a song. It was a message. A code. That night, over 20 townsfolk followed Emily up the old hillside, flashlights cutting through the dusk. They searched the field, combing through sunflower as tall as grown men. Emily, brave as ever, stepped forward and sang her mother's song into a speaker one of the neighbors brought. The final verse had barely left her lips when they heard it, faint, shaky, but real. A voice singing the same melody from somewhere deep in the field. They followed the sound, careful, quiet, until they found it. A hidden shelter made of tarp and brush, and from its shadows emerged Rachel, thin, pale, exhausted, but alive. Mama Emily screamed, bolting into her arms. Rachel crumbled, holding her daughter like she never wanted to let go again. I've been watching from the trees. I saw the posters. I didn't know if it was safe. Jake fought tears. It's safe now. You're safe. Later, Rachel explained everything. The man she'd run from her ex, violent, obsessive. She'd left him after years of hiding bruises under long sleeves and teaching Emily how to whisper instead of speak. She'd moved to Brookville for a fresh start, but he'd found them again. So she did the unthinkable, hid knowing her daughter might lead someone kind. She'd filed reports, brought evidence to a lawyer, and just before she vanished, she'd learned 3 other women had also spoken up. The man had been arrested the morning Rachel reappeared. And just like that, the nightmare was over. Or so they thought. As the town celebrated, Rachel pulled Jake aside. Legal safety is one thing, she said, but I've learned real safety is having people who will show up when you need them, even if you're just a scared mom and a lost little girl. That week, everything changed. The town of Brookville adopted what they called the family promise. No one would face fear alone. Elderly folks got daily check-ins. Single parents got free meal deliveries. Teenagers mentored kids after school. Even Jake got a new title, community liaison officer. And Emily, she became the heart of it all, the girl who turned fear into family. But 1 year later, standing on that same sunflower hill, Emily planted a new seed, a time capsule. Inside it, drawings, letters, the red shoe, and a note that read, "To whoever finds this, remember you don't have to be related to be family. You just have to show up, listen, and love someone enough to stand by them when they're scared." That's what saved me. That's what will save the next kid too. So here's the question for everyone watching right now. What would you do if a child came to you scared, lost, holding a red shoe? Would you stop? Would you care? Or would you walk away thinking it's someone else's problem? Tell us in the comments. Tell us about the kindness you've seen or the help you never got when you needed it most. And remember, sometimes the smallest voices lead us to the biggest truths. Don't scroll past this story. Share it. Talk about it. Be part of the promise.